Alright, everyone, welcome to Deep Dives with Dogs. Well, today's topic is kind of looking at the success of movies and how, in some ways, the past will always kind of have a stranglehold on uh, how successful movies have been. Um, it's kind of interesting to think. Nowadays, when we think of movies, we think of big popular movies making like $1 billion. It's a lot of money, of course. $1 billion is huge profit, even nowadays when Hollywood's budgets have ballooned well past what they should. Um, but movies of the past didn't necessarily make as much in their time, but made more in our time because money is just worth less. Um, it's it's like saying I make more than the people of the past at McDonald's. It's like, yeah, technically, but if you look at the straight numbers, yes. If you look at the percentage of those numbers and what their value is, not so much. It's just not worth nearly as much. But so I kind of got kicked off by looking at how Gone with the Wind, the author received a Pulitzer Prize on this day in 1937. 2 years after that event, the movie Gone with the Wind would be released and would become the highest-grossing movie of all time, and it'll probably remain that way, I believe. Adjusted for inflation, it's made about 4.5 to 4.6 billion dollars. Um, that's just an insane number. The second movie on that list is surprisingly a newer movie, which you would not necessarily think, but I say newer, but it's just in my lifetime, which makes me feel a little older now. But 2009's Avatar, which adjusted for inflation is about $4 billion, which is quite a bit of money. Really shows you how much Avatar really made. But it's kind of an anomaly. Its sequel has never really recreated that, and there is another more modern movie on that list, 2019's Avengers Endgame. But recreating something like that is not so simple, you could say. And while Marvel, I'm sure, would love to recreate that, I think the time for that is probably past now. But still, it's surprising that it's on that top 10 list. But if you look at a lot of the other movies on that list, they're pre 2000, which makes a lot of sense. You have things like Star Wars on there, the original Star Wars. Um, you have the Ten Commandments, you have Jaws, Titanic, which um, things like that. Which those movies were obviously very, very successful in their times, but um, adjusted for inflation, even more successful than we really could think. And you really kind of wonder, is there something that maybe has died with the movie industry that is the reason things like this just don't happen as much? There are movies that make $1 billion, but is that really is that really a sign of movies doing really well, or is it not? $1 billion is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but if things like Avatar and things like that can make $4 billion, wouldn't that be more of a sign of success? I don't know. But it's interesting to think of. I will say movies, in a way, obviously, have lost somewhat of their um, gravitas of the past, and that's just coming with the availability of movies and things like that. Obviously, people of the past, the only way to watch movies was to go to a movie theater, so movies would tend to um, be be a little bit more valued in that regard. Um, just kind of how it is. If you don't have an ability to watch it, you'll go to watch it. Radio play is obviously really big for television. So you would go to a movie theater, and that's where you could watch TV, or not really TV, but movies. Um, and I think it really is one of the reasons why something like Gone with the Wind will never really happen again. yes, Avatar and Avengers Endgame, they are on that top 10 list. However, those are more anomalies. I would say Avatar especially is an anomaly. I think that's more of an idea of the production of the time in showing the technological advancement that really, um, movies could show. And people were dazzled by the spectacle. They saw the movie magic, once again. And so it's very much a unique moment, you could say. And something like Avengers Endgame, that's many, many years of build up to this story. And it's just not it's it's not something you can just recreate in one movie. So, but that's just my opinion on it. And I don't know, I just like talking. I don't know, I typically try to talk about historical things somewhat. And these movies are historical, they have a part to play in uh, how we perceive wars and everything, really. How historical events have been uh, really shaped by the movies made about them. You have many examples of that. Gladiator is a good example. But it's just interesting to think about um, movies' successes and if they will ever get to that point ever again. But that's going to do for this video. If you guys like the video, leave a like. If you have any ways I can improve this video or any videos I make, leave a comment down below. I read all your comments. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.